What's up, y'all? This is Hammer here again, back with another video. Um, Today I'm gonna be talking about the Jonathan Majors situation. I know I haven't been uploading for a while, but really want to apologize for that. I've been busy with my semester. It is done now, so hopefully I'll have more time to kind of upload more and more. So I really want to apologize for that. But nevertheless, I haven't really talked about Jonathan Majors in a very long time. I think the last time I made a video about him, I think was pretty long. It was just like small, I think 10-minute videos. That was when like the accusations first came out, right? The whole controversy first began, and ever since then I didn't really touch it. But although I didn't make a video about it, that doesn't mean I wasn't thinking about it, right? Behind the scenes, I was actually heavily paying attention to that case. Any new update that came out in regards to the Jonathan Majors case, I was there. I was listening. I was paying attention. And the reason is because, some of you guys may not agree with my commentary. Some of you guys may agree. That's fine. But overall, I believe the reason why I was so obsessed and drawn to this case from the moment it happened was because I genuinely felt bad for Jonathan Majors. And seeing a situation like this happen to him was just another example of how, race is real in America, right? Now, let me just go ahead and say this, right, and provide context in regards to this video. Jonathan Majors was just found guilty, right? I believe on 2 charges, because he originally faced 4, on 2 charges in regards to harassing and attacking his ex-girlfriend. As you can see here, the white girl, the ex-white girl, Jabari. And let me just make it very clear, these are mostly misdemeanor charges. I think the max is a year, but he's a first offender, so I don't think he's gonna go to jail. Very unlikely. Misdemeanor first offender. The most he may get, what he may probably get is, I will say, maybe probation, community service probably. Maybe even I think almost a month with jail, but I'm not seeing them putting him in the whole 1 year. So, I'll just put it out of the way. Now, of course, this is America, and he is a black man, so I could always be surprised. But just based on how the rules work, misdemeanor, first-time offender, it shouldn't be too egregious. But the problem here is that the biggest issue was never the charges. Right? The biggest issue was how this was going to affect his image and the career. Because once again, I said, look, these are misdemeanor charges, so it's not anything serious. But the whole idea is, how will the media, how will the industry shape this? Right? But before I sort of dive into the repercussions of this, I need to give you guys a backstory, right? I need to give you guys a context in regards to Jonathan Majors, how we got here. Because for you to really understand why today was so huge and why what happened was so huge, let's provide some context for Jonathan Majors, right? Jonathan Majors, in my opinion, he really first started to blow up on the scene when he sort of was casted to be the new face, the new main villain of the Marvel Universe. Now, I do know Jonathan Majors, he was part of other projects before he even came across Disney or Marvel. But the whole point is that at the end of the day, what really made him get his big break in Hollywood, what really made him stand out and sort of the entire industry to notice him, if I want to notice him, was when Marvel and Disney, I guess you could say, casted him to be Kang, the new sort of big bad of the Marvel Universe. And look, for me, I'm keeping it with you, as a black dude, it was refreshing. I love the original, of course, Marvel's universe. I love the original Avengers, Thor, Iron Man, I love all that. I also loved how how Avengers Endgame, and personally for me, I believe Avengers Infinity War was better than Endgame. I feel like Infinity War was really the height. Endgame was just like a money grab afterward. That's my personal opinion. I love the Black Panther. So I feel like the 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe was really amazing, right? But one thing that I noticed is that in the original MCU, there weren't a lot of black faces besides Black Panther, which is why I think Black Panther did so well. So seeing this new, the sort of this new phase, this new MCU, and seeing how they're gonna make this black dude the sort of main big bad, was excited for that. I was so fucking excited for that, and I think when they first introduced Jonathan Kang in Loki, right, as He Who Remains, his performance was amazing. This is great. So I was really excited, although I will very much agree that this new MCU is kind of woke and it has a lot of LGBT, a lot of stuff in it that I may not have agreed with per se, but nevertheless, even with all that other stuff, I was willing to look over all that because I really wanted to see, I really love to see this black dude just throwing around white folks, slapping white people. I mean, it was amazing. I remember when Kang was in Ant-Man and Quantumania, right? But just watching Kang, Jonathan Majors, just slapping all those white folks around, that was amazing. So I was very much excited, right? So he was set up, and keep in mind, even people who had issues with Marvel, they will say, who had issues with the new MCU, even they would admit that, yeah, Jonathan Majors' acting was amazing. And it wasn't just that he was a face of the new bad. This dude was blown up on the scene. Like he went, he was part of Creed with Michael B. Jordan, which did pretty well. I mean, this guy was slowly, in my opinion, a rising star. Right, and it felt like he was gonna become the new face of Hollywood, especially with him being the face of the MCU, the new big bad villain of the MCU, especially with him being part of Creed, especially with him, he was getting all kinds of deals everywhere, right? It really felt that way. And here's what interests me, right? Before everything kind of went away, you had a situation in which Dana White, a video came out, in which Dana White slapped his wife on camera. Now, when this situation, now look, guys, I know you guys will be asking, hey, yo, what does that have to do with Jonathan Majors? Just hold on with me. I'll break it down to you, right? Before you had the accusations or the charges against Jonathan Majors, right, you had a situation within one in which the videos came out of him slapping his wife. When this happened, the entire media defended Dana White. You had articles talking about how media stations, including ESPN, were telling their reporters to now write about Dana White to essentially protect him, right? You had people on television talking about how we shouldn't be canceling Dana White. There were no charges, right? There were nobody cut ties with him. He essentially got a pass. Like, the entire all the institutions, whether it was the media, the sports, the entire system protected Dana White, and he essentially walked away. Nothing, even though he did it on camera, right? There was there was nothing on that, right? Nothing on him. Then I think a couple of weeks later, a situation happens in which Jonathan Majors faces charges, right? In regards to assaulting his ex-girlfriend, the white girl you're seeing right here. And oh my God, the way the media went at him, you could tell that they already saw Jonathan Majors guilty. It didn't matter what he said. It didn't matter what Jonathan Majors did not do. He was viewed as guilty by the media no matter what. And I was like, oh my, I said, what the fuck's going on? I said, wait a minute. This dude didn't want slept to go on camera, and it's like the entire system protected him. The media was shush. Now with this dude, he gets a charge, and you guys are all over him, right? Now, when the information started to come out, right, based on what I could gather, what it looked like to me, right, was that you essentially had a situation in which they were in the cab. A text message came through. She wanted to grab the phone. She grabbed it out. He grabbed the phone back. He left the car. She tried to follow him. He pushed her back, and he left. Based on what I gathered at the time, right? Then she went back to the apartment. I think he sent a message to break up with her. He goes back to the airport because they were living together at the time, based on the information based on what I recall, right? Based on remember, he goes back to the home. He goes back to the place. He sees her in the dressing room, laying on the floor. He thinks something's happening. He calls 911, thinking that it's a possible suicide. They come in there. They assume that he did something wrong, right? He, of course, gets in trouble, right? For the most part. They essentially talk to the white girlfriend. They help her fill out all the reports. And before we know it, he's being charged, right? Now, there may be some details here that I'm not getting right, but for the most part, that's essentially what I, based on the information I got, that's essentially what happened, right? That's what happened, right? She thought that he was gonna dump her. She went party. She came back to the home. She was left out there. He came in there, thought something happened to her, called the cops, and essentially he was the one that got in trouble, right? And she took this opportunity to essentially, I guess you could say, pull her white card on him. He finished her charges, right? Now, though after this happened, you have all of these deals dropping. All of the deals with Jonathan Majors get dropped instantly. His talent agency, the only, I think, entity that is still remaining with Jonathan Majors is Disney, right? It's Marvel. You know what? And that's because they made him the big bat, and to be honest with you, they don't replace him. But that's not the full truth. Another reason is because they have a contract with Jonathan Majors. So if they were to let go of him, right, they just want to remember, they would have to pay him out. So from their point of view, they don't want to have to replace it. They don't want to pay him out. Right? So their thought was, okay, if we let this play out, and if Jonathan Majors does get convicted, we can use that as a pretext to essentially cut him without us having to pay him out anything, right? In my opinion, that's more likely the only reason why they kept him so long. And I will sort of vindicate it, because the moment it was announced he was convicted, Marvel instantly dropped him. Immediately, like within minutes. So that already confirmed to me that that's what they were waiting for. They were waiting for a conviction so they could justify cutting it off without having to pay him out due to the contract he has with them. So now what happens? Throughout the entire, I will say from that time till now, right, we just saw this situation in which it was back and forth, right? Jonathan is out there trying to put out videos, trying to put out information to make himself look more innocent. Hell, he even tried to make a counter-suit against her, right? Now, the police department was actually going to investigate in regards to her, and they would think about bringing charges to her, right? It was the DA that actually dropped charges against her because he made that counter-suit saying that he was also attacked. They were going to try to investigate her and possibly bring charges against Jabari. The DA dropped charges against Jabari, his white girlfriend, but said, we won't keep charges of Jonathan Majors. Now, when that happened, I said, oh, yeah, Jonathan, yeah. This is racial. The white girl is making an accusation against you, and you get charged. You essentially go and tell the police that, hey, you are hurt too. That they're working to try to charge her, and then they drop potential charges against the white girl, let her off, go free, and she's gonna testify in the case. But they're gonna keep prosecuting you. See, that was already telling me that this is not looking good. Okay, when the trial happens, right? I will say that before the trial happens, the situation was looking really bad for Jonathan Majors. But I feel like during the trial, when you had the driver talking about how, she was the aggressor, when you had the video come out of his white girlfriend chasing him down the street, everything was really starting to make him look like he was the innocent one, right? So, we said, okay, fine, right? Everybody puts the closing statements, and we wait. And today, the jury comes out, because originally, guys, right, there was a strangulation charge against Jonathan Majors. The DA, I think the prosecution dropped that, right? So really, when the jury was kind of deciding, right, they were deciding on 4 charges, right, and it was different degrees. There's different degrees, right? 2 of them he was acquitted, but 2 of them he was found guilty, right? Now keep in mind, these are misdemeanor charges. He's a first offender, so more than likely, it's very likely that he probably won't get any jail time. He may get some probation, but the point here is that this essentially destroys his career. Because the moment he got convicted today, minutes afterwards, Marvel and Disney dropped him. And you already know that he is going to be blackballed now in Hollywood. He'll be blackballed. And the media will keep going at him hard. Now, people are going to say, hold up, why does this matter? The reason why it matters, right, is that this, in my opinion, is another great, it's a perfect example of how race still matters. And when black men want to be out here pretending as if it's now real or trying to pretend as if we're quote unquote dick policing them, no, we're actually protecting you. Because when they catch you, when you slip up, it's over. We can't save you now, Jonathan. Once that white girl once the white girl pulled your black card, you can't be saved no more. And so what breaks my heart is that, okay, we have Dana White, who can slap his wife on camera. We have Robert Downey Jr., who's had multiple histories in regards to the criminal system, right? We have so many other white actors, right, who've had the time in the criminal justice system, right? And yet Hollywood will either protect them or give them a pass. Hell, we just saw what happened with Ezra Miller, right? And these white dudes have done way worse than Jonathan Majors. And yet Hollywood gives him a pass. But for him, he won't get that pass. He won't get that pass. But here's also another angle that I think people don't understand, right? It's not just that Jonathan Majors was a black dude that was being accused by a white woman, right? And that's also another reason why I knew, in my opinion, he was going to fight. As I said, look, all the jury is going to see is a big black brute and a small petite white female. I told you that. I felt that, and that's what happened today. But even with all that being said, right, when it came to Jonathan Majors, one thing that people needed to fundamentally understand is that Jonathan Majors is not going to get the same grace that his white counterparts get. So in other words, if this was Ezra Miller, if Jonathan Majors was a white dude, although this may have hurt him, he may have still been able to bounce back somewhat. But because he's a black guy for the most part, and there's a white female on him, I can promise you right now, moving forward, he's effectively done in that career. It's over for him. It's over for him. And it's literally heartbreaking because, you know, for me, in my opinion, it felt like a public lynching. Let's be honest, right? This literally felt like a public lynching. And another aspect to this was how the white boys reacted. Oh, my God. It just came back to me. Another aspect to this was how the white boys reacted. If you go to the social media or go to now, you had some white men, I think, who was sympathetic and called it out, but the vast majority of white dudes online, especially the white dudes who watch Marvel and MCU, they were saying, burn the coal, pay the toll. Burn the coal, pay the toll. And for those who may not know, this is a term that white men use when it comes to white women that deal with black men. And the whole point of the term is that if you essentially leave the white community and you deal with a black dude, you were essentially excommunicado. We don't want you back. So that's essentially what they mean when they say burn the coal, pay the toll, right? But what fascinated me, and in my opinion, the way white dudes react to this case, I think, in my opinion, further highlights why, when it comes to the manosphere, black men essentially separated from white dudes. Because we knew that at the end of the day, one, they're white, right? So that aspect never going to change. But two, there was always going to be, they always had this thing about black men fucking their women, right? When you looked at the white dudes in the chat, and the white guys, the white male fan base, right? When they were talking about Jonathan Majors, one thing you notice is that the reaction they had towards Johnny Depp is very different to the reaction they had towards Jonathan Majors. When it was a white dude, Johnny Depp, who was, facing accusations, fighting for his image, white dudes online was like, yeah, it's male rights, men are under attack, right? They were making a universal male thing, and there was not a black man who I think backed Johnny Depp. But when it came to Jonathan Majors, all of a sudden now, they were Me Too. These same white dudes that were against Me Too and all these, female accusations when it came to Johnny Depp were instantly aligning with Jabari and the white girl when it came to Jonathan Majors, right? Oh, yeah, he's a monster. Yeah, he definitely did. I'm like, what? So now you guys believe in Me Too? Now you believe in accusations? I was like, oh, I see what this is. A lot of you white dudes felt a certain kind of way, seeing that, the main character of the MCU was going to be this sort of big, black, chiseled dude. And not just that, this dude was becoming huge in Hollywood. And not just that, he's with this petite, slim, blonde hair, blue-eyed white woman. Oh, my God. Come on, just say it. That's what it was. And so you felt a certain kind of way. And so the moment you saw, you got news coming out of him potentially being in a bad situation, instead of you sticking by your principles, right, of fighting against Me Too, of fighting for men the way y'all did was Johnny Depp, no, race came into play. And you guys instantly came together and essentially threw Jonathan on the bus. You guys became the biggest Me Too advocates in the world. That's right. We know he's aggressive. Those comments were insane. Those comments were insane to me. I was like, oh my God, Jonathan. See, my opinion, and the crazy part is that, remember, I saw how these white dudes reacted when they came to Dana White. I saw how they reacted when it came to to Johnny Depp. I see how they react when it comes to any white dude who faces any kind of accusation. It's always about, men's rights, men together. But when it came to this big black dude and his petite white female, oh no, he's guilty. But I feel like the reaction of the white male fanbill, white men online, I think reflects what we saw, right? The same way these white dudes online felt a certain kind of way, since big black dude being the face, being with his white female, probably is how the media and the system felt when it came to Jonathan Majors. And essentially, they publicly lynched him, right? The media destroyed his name, right? The prosecution essentially threw all kinds of mud at him, hoping something would stick, and it did, right? They were able to get two on lower degrees. Right? And now they're going to use all this as a pretext to essentially cut off Jonathan Majors. Now, for Jonathan, I said, brother, look, I'm going to keep it with you. Okay? Throughout this entire ordeal, I genuinely feel bad for you, but there will come a point where I start feeling bad for you. And the reason is because, and I'm making a little leeway here, Jonathan Majors, ironically, reminds me of a lot of black men online. He reminds me of SYSBM. He reminds me of a lot of black men where when you're trying to tell them that, hey, I understand you may have some issues with black women. I understand you may have some issues with your community, but don't you ever think that you can hop into these other non-black communities and it'll be okay. In fact, you're actually in a much more vulnerable position over there. When you're trying to tell these dudes, all of a sudden now, oh, you are dick policing them. All of a sudden now, race doesn't matter. All of a sudden now, you're trying to force them with a black... it's all kinds of craziness, right? They will tell you this. But then when they go to those non-black communities and the car gets pulled, all of a sudden now, race matters. Jonathan Majors was not talking about his blackness before this trial. He was like any other black dude who made it, right? When he made it, he became race neutral. He went and got a white female. All of a sudden, everything was fine. And then when trouble came in paradise, he goes and gets Megan Good. He comes in the trial dressed up like a 1950s civil rights. I'm like, what are you doing, Jonathan? His lawyer is going around talking about how he is being racially attacked, and I'm just like, and I'm like, Jonathan, this is why I lost sympathy because I know this play, okay? You are that black dude who, you know, nobody could tell you nothing. Nobody could quote unquote dick police you, right? But then with that non-black female you were dealing with, you know, pull the carpet under you. All of a sudden now you got your wake up call. All of a sudden now you recognize you're black. All of a sudden now, you know, race is real. Race wasn't real when you were penetrating the white female, but it's real when you in court. Come on. And let me just go ahead and make this very clear, right? I am in no way trying to make it seem as if, you know, black men are just never going to deal with non-black female, right? Let's be honest here. Although I would prefer for black men to deal strictly with black women, I understand you're going to have your exceptions here and there, right? That's why, for me, I have created what I call a 3-tier system. This 3-tier system I think, is something that black men can use to protect themselves. Or at least those who just can't help themselves but to step out the group. If you're going to step out the group, you need to ensure that you keep yourself within what I call tier 1, level 1. Level 1 is when you only deal with non-black females on the sexual level. It's just sexual access, right? Ironically, that's what non-black women do when it comes to black men. They only deal with black men, you know, when it comes to a sexual level, right? Now, although that comes with its own risk, that, you know, that essentially limits the contact you have with her, right? You know, if you're gonna step out, keep it at level 1, you have your kind of sex with her and you walk away, that's about it, right? That's level 1. Even though it has its own risks, in my opinion, that's the least risky. Level 2 is when it gets more dangerous. This is when you choose to engage in a relationship with a non-black female. So now you guys, it's no longer just you know, hooking up. Now you're actually dating her, marrying her, right? You're trying to be together. This comes with new challenges now, with greater risks. First, when you go out in public, you're gonna have to deal with the public stares. Second, when you drive down the streets, you're going to have to worry about the fact of that, hey, if the police pulls you over and they see you with that white girl, they may react a certain kind of way. Third, you're going to have to deal with how both her community and your community deals with you guys. And most importantly, you're going to have to deal with her family. All of this together puts you in a much more dangerous position when you enter what I call level 2. And this is when you go from just sexual hooking up to actually being in a relationship and actually marrying a non-black female. That's level 2. The most dangerous level for me when it comes to the black male is when he enters level 3. And this is when, in addition to you being in a relationship or quote-unquote married with a non-black female, you have kids with a non-black female. Not only are you dealing with all the issues that comes with you being in a relationship and marrying a non-black female, you know, the looks, the law enforcement, how they'll react to your relationship, your community, her community rejecting you, her family may not liking you. You also got to deal with the fact that your child, your own offspring, is going to have an identity crisis, right? They're going to have a situation which your community and her community may not fully accept a child, right? You're going to have to deal with the fact that your children are going to be diluted. They could potentially go and marry someone who another non-black person and essentially wipe out your genetic lineage, right? So all of this is the reason why I say, once again, if you're a black dude and you just can't control your penis and you gotta step out, keep it, brothers, keep it at the most at level 1. Hell, this would have saved Jonathan Majors. If Jonathan Majors would have treated this girl at a level 1 level, meaning that he simply met with Jabari, did a hookup, and that was about it, right? He just hooked up with her and never spoke to her again. He would have been fine. He could have moved on and got with Megan Good and actually, moved on and got in a relationship and got married to a black female. But no, he wanted to go to a level 2, which is actually being in a relationship with a non-black female for long term. That's dangerous. The only thing he didn't do was have a kid, which would have put him in level 3. So these are the three tier systems I've created, and I believe black men can use to help protect themselves, right? Now, with that being said, I just hope that this situation ends up being a wake-up call, especially for the black manosphere online. One thing I have despised for a very long time is how a lot of black men, especially in the black manosphere, have been so delusional when it comes to race. The SYSBMs, the passport bros, right? And when I will call out this behavior by these individual males, it's always, oh, you're dick policing them. It always goes back to that. But then when the consequences come, when the black car gets pulled, all of a sudden now, just recently, right, I just saw a video by Angry Man talking about Emmett Till. I'm seeing all these black manosphere dudes talking about race. All of a sudden, race matters now. All of a sudden now, white women are dangerous. But see, a couple of years ago, when I was talking about, going to these non-black communities is not the answer. These non-black people don't want you fucking doing it. When I was saying all these things, folks were attacking me. Folks were saying he's dick policing, right? But now that we just saw a real life, we literally just saw a public lynching. That's what we just saw. Now that we just saw a black man get publicly lynched by the media and the legal system, right? Through his white ex-girlfriend, all of a sudden now, the black manosphere recognizes race all of a sudden. All of a sudden now, they recognize the dangers of going to these numbers. All of a sudden now. So that's at least one benefit in regards to the situation with Jonathan Majors, right? And keep in mind, this is not just black men, right? The same thing applies to black women. I've made so many videos when it comes to black women and diversity, how when they go to these non-black communities, right, they essentially, let's be honest here, right, they are reminded that they're foreigners. They're reminded that they play a subordinate role. There's a reason we got so many examples of black women going to these non-black men. We got all these horror stories of colorism, of them being colored. We know this, right? But the reason why I focus more on black men, because once again, because black men are men, right, they're able to compensate. Look, black men and black women are both at the bottom of the hierarchy globally, right? But I always say that black women essentially bear the brunt of this, because although black men are at the bottom of the hierarchy, black men are able to compensate. Black men are able to compensate for their blackness by either the resources, the looks, or the charisma. That's it, right? But see, all that does is gets you to the door. It doesn't change the fact that when you get to the door and you deal with non-black females, those non-black communities will simply tolerate you. They won't accept you. And the moment you slip up like Jonathan Majors, they have no problem putting you back in your place, reminding you that you're still a nigger at the end of the day. So that's why I focus more on black men, because once again, black men have more of a success. Not because they're better, it's just that black men have a much more easier time compensating for the blackness compared to black women. A lot of them can't even get to the door because black women are essentially right at the bottom of the hierarchy when it comes to beauty. A lot of these non-black men, a lot of times, because they view black women as so far away from their beauty center, they won't even try. They won't even entertain a black female. So a lot of times, she won't even get to the door, right? And even if she does get to the door, the few that do, right, she faces so much racial abuse, it's insane. So the reality is that what you have is black men and black women who are both at the bottom of the hierarchy, Both of them are trying to escape the bottom class status by jumping into non-black communities, and the moment in which they're able to do so, whether it's the black woman or the black man, the moment in which they hop in these non-black communities, those non-black communities will mind them really very quickly that, hey, you're not one of us, and they get casted right back down. Same cycle. Right? It just so happens that because black men are more successful at hopping into these other communities, right, we see more examples of black men being casted down, aka Jonathan Majors. So this is universal, right? This is universal. Non-black people, black people at the bottom of the hierarchy, and non-black people do not want you in their group, whether it's the women or the men. Just because the men have a better time compensating for the blackness doesn't change the fact that they don't want you there either. And I hope that this situation with Jonathan Majors, brings reality back to the table. But with that being said, right, let me go ahead and wrap it up by saying this. Moving forward, when it comes to Jonathan Majors, if I was advising the brother, well, what I would tell him is I would say, brother, look, what you're going to have to do is this. Hope that you get maybe a year of probation or something low, even if it's 1 month in prison. I will say you need to take a low profile. For the next couple of months, if not years, take a low profile, let this die down, let this go away, and then try and see if you can get back into the industry, right? But here's the issue. Even if you are able to get back to the industry, you will never get back to where you were. The most you'll be able to get is maybe some low level acting, some stuff here, maybe to make some end meet, some money on the side. But that's about it. Now folks will say, well, that's not fair. We got so many white dudes. Yeah, because they're white. Yeah, there's a lot of white male actors who have done worse, and the industry will give them a second chance, right? Ezra Miller, for example, got so many chances. But here's the issue. Here's the reason why we tell black men to be so careful where they put their penis. Because the only way we can help you is before that happens. Before you get with Jabari. Before you get with... It's before. Because the moment you get with the person and something happens, we can't help you no more. And not just that, we also know that the moment in which they get you, the moment in which you slip, you will never get the same grace as your white counterpart. It's over. So, that's the reason why, right? And, that's the reason why, my opinion, what I'm probably going to title this video is, the black man's weakness. Because I don't understand how a black man can work so hard to break the glass ceiling and throw it all away just for interracial sex. And, I'm like, is this really black men's weakness? It's because the fear I have is that the message this sends to non-black communities that it doesn't matter how far a black man goes. If you want to get him, all you have to do is put a non-black female close to him, and that's about it. And that will be his weakness to his downfall. I hope that's not true. But situations like this, in my opinion, make it harder and harder for me to believe it's not. And what makes it even worse is that Jabari, the ex-wife girlfriend, gets to walk away nitty-gritty free without any fucking problems, right? And what makes it even worse than that is the fact that, even though Jonathan Majors has been convicted and his career is over, you still got white dudes online talking about burn the coal, pay the toll. You still got white dudes online talking about, the MCU needs to get rid of Kang and bring in a white... I'm like, they're literally saying that they want a white actor to be the face, the new bad film. Well, at least they're sort of being honest, right? So I will at least give them, that happen. But that's what I'm saying now, right? Do you know how many articles I have come across online of news stations urging Marvel to get rid of Jonathan Majors, get rid of Kang, and to instead bring in essentially, in other words, You need to get rid of this nigger and essentially bring in a proper white male to be the main lead. That's essentially what they were saying. Okay? Essentially what they were saying. But what I'm probably gonna try to do is maybe keep paying attention to what's going on online in regards to this case. But it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. And that's the reason why, to all the black men watching, that's why I go so hard when it comes to black men dating out. Because I'm gonna keep it with you. I am tired. I am truly getting tired of seeing successful, intelligent, great black men lose everything just because they couldn't stay away from interracial sex. That's getting tiring to me. Especially when we got so many warnings, so many examples. But yet they'll really walk into it. Now here's the thing. I'm not saying that, look, I get it, right? You know, you're always gonna have exceptions. You're always gonna have people, black men, who are gonna want to do that's fine. My thing is, if you all go ahead and do that, always be aware. Be self-aware that you're in hostile territory. Don't ever be in a situation where, like John Lewis, where you actually believe that you actually believe that when you're dealing with these non-black women, that all of a sudden you're safe. Don't ever do that. Now, of course, you're going to have black men who going to not care and go anywhere. That's fine. And you know, down the line, decades later, when the car gets pulled, they're going to be somewhere crying racism. So it is what it is, right? It is what it is. But yeah, I'm tired of this, right? And although I know that black people probably, there's some who will keep on doing this, I want to make it very clear to them that, hey, you have the right to go and fuck who you want to fuck in America, but you also have the right to deal with the consequences that come with that. And I'll leave it at that. But with that being said, yo, I'm gonna let it go. Sorry for not uploading videos. You know, I've been kind of busy. I'll try to do more and more. I'm a little off right now, so I should have more time. But let me know in the chat what you guys think, guys. Let me know in the chat. Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? And you know, just comment so I can get your opinion. But with that being said, y'all, make sure to like, share, subscribe. Hammer out.